Now, despite what you might be thinking, these two circles are not equal. I repeat, these two circles are not equal. One is in fact larger than the other. What I need you to do is determine which one that is. So, please raise your hand if you believe the blue circle is larger than the red. All right. Please raise your hand if you believe the red circle is larger than the blue. All right, very good. Now, before I said anything about these two circles, what was your first instinct? Equal, right? Because they look equal. And the reason why they look equal is because, in fact, they are equal. These two circles are identical. Yet I got just about every one of you to raise your hand and say that they're not. So what did we learn? That you can be manipulated like that to believe in something that goes against your natural instinct.
So my name is Sergey. When I was 9 years old, something interesting happened. Everybody in my family got sick. I was diagnosed with juvenile diabetes. My dad had arthritis and hyperthyroid. My mom had arrhythmia, which is an irregular heart condition. And my sister had asthma. So we found out within 1 year that we were all sick with supposedly irreversible diseases. We went to the doctors, and they essentially told us all the same exact thing. They said, take these drugs or these shots or these pills for the rest of your life and you'll never get better. Right? And my mom said, what? Come again? And they said, yeah, take these drugs and for the rest of your life you'll pay us and you'll never get better. And they also added, and make sure you maintain good jobs because no insurance is going to take you on now. So, you're going to have something to pay for the drugs with. And my mom said, okay, excuse me, I'm going to get a second opinion. And so she went to a couple other doctors first, and they all told my dad, for example, if you have an if you have arthritis and hyperthyroid, there's all kinds of things you can do, one of which includes we could stop your heart and then start it to make, sometimes that helps the hyperthyroid, but 30% of the time the heart doesn't start again. So the odds are pretty good, right? My mom decided to do some research on her own finally, and this took her to the bookstore where she purchased hundreds of dollars of medical books, and she was reading up on all of our conditions, and there again found that, for example, for diabetes, your options are to take synthetic insulin, which wears out your organs, or to get a pancreas transplant for roughly $50,000, which your body may later reject. And it seemed wrong for her at the time to put her 9-year-old son through either one of those options. So she resorted to something that was a little bit absurd, but it worked. She would see healthy-looking people on the streets. Now, have you ever noticed some people look really radiant on the street and you're like, wow, that's an attractive person. And then some people don't look as radiant, so you could kind of tell, you could pick them out. And my mom decided that if nobody was going to tell her how to get to the bottom of this, that she was literally going to ask healthy-looking people until she figured out what needed to be done, right? So picture this. My mom was a huge, overweight Russian woman with a thick Russian accent at the time. And she would literally see people jogging down the street, and she'd run up to them and she'd be like, hello. My son has diabetes. Can you help him? I have arrhythmia. Now picture for a minute what you would do if that happened to you. Here, you're just jogging here by the lake and some lady runs up to you. Right? You keep running faster. Maybe you'd add, get away from me, crazy woman. So she really quickly realized that she needed to get her foot in the door, and this foot in the door was to compliment people. She'd run up to them and be like, you look so good. You're radiant. What do you do? How do you look so good? And then she'd casually throw in, hey, my son has diabetes. Do you know what would help him? And in this manner, she talked to maybe a dozen, 20, 30 people, and finally she meets this lady at a bank line. She asks her the same questions, and Elizabeth turns to her and says, Yeah, I know exactly what all of you guys need to do. After so many no's, she meets this lady who tells her, yeah, I exactly know the direction you need to go in. So she has her over for lunch. Elizabeth summarizes it for her. She says, this is what you got to do. You have to stop eating cooked food. And my mom's like, does that mean ice cream with blueberries in it? And she's like, no, that means raw fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains. And the reason for this is because those foods are high in vitamins, minerals, and enzymes, so they're more alive. And if you eat more food that is alive, you become more alive yourself.